Hey, my name is Jonathan Helm, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to subset data in R using the subset function. So for this video, I'm just going to use the salary data CSV dataset. If you want, you can download that one from my website, but for now, I just have it on my desktop, so I'm going to work with that one from here. So I'm just going to open up R, I'll go to my applications, open up R. I'm going to open up a new file, a new editor in R. And I'm going to read the data set into R. So I'll use the read.csv function to read the data into R. I'll right click the data set and hit get info, and I'll get the path, and I'll copy and paste the path into the editor. And then I'll add at the end the name of the data set. I'm going to take a look at the first 6 rows of the data set. And I'll just quickly take a look at the data set in Excel just to make sure that things are matching. Taking a look at ID, looks like it matches. Salary, it looks like the values are matching. Number of publications appears to be matching. Years on the job appears to be matching. So this is good. I feel fairly confident that I've correctly read the data set into R. Now, often when we're working with data sets in R, we will want to subset data. And usually when we want to subset data, sometimes it's conditioned on a particular variable. It's a subset data conditioned on a particular variable. So what does that mean? Well, John, what does that mean? So, for example, if I look at this variable called gender here, I see that I have IDs or values called male and female. So maybe, for example, I want to extract out all the males in my data set, or maybe I want to extract out all the females. Or if I look at this other variable over here called department, right, where I have individuals from sociology, engineering, or psychology, maybe I just want to subset everyone who's in sociology. Maybe I just want to subset everyone who's in engineering. Okay, so there are different ways to extract out those values, right? And the subset function is an extremely useful function for doing that. I'm kind of going a little bit further with continuous variables, like salary, for example. Maybe there's a range of people that I want to extract out, right? Maybe I want to extract out everybody who's making over $80,000 a year, right? So everyone who has a value larger than 80 on the salary variable. Or maybe for number of publications, maybe I want to extract out everyone who has more than, on average, 5 publications a year. Okay, so conceivably there are different ways of thinking about this, right? There are many reasons why we want to subset the data. And so this is just using the subset function gives us an opportunity to create those subsets. So let's start. So using the subset function. So I have my data set called data. I'm going to create a new object called data male, and this is just going to subset the data for just those males, right? So I have this kind of string indicator for male here. So what I want to do is I'm going to use the subset function. Make sure I spell it correctly. The first argument that's going to go into this function is the name of the data set that you want to subset from. So in this situation, I just write data, right? This is what I put up here, right? So if you happen to type in my data or salary data or some other name, and you want to take a subset of it, make sure that you use that exact name for the object when you're using the subset function. And then in the second part, I have to create a conditional statement, right? So what I can do now, and R will know that since I'm working with the data set called data, I can actually call on the variable names directly. So in this case, I'm going to scroll back over here and I say gender, and I want gender is equal to male. So I say gender, and I have this double equal sign, and then in quotes I have male. Okay, and double equals means it's going to look at each of the values, right? It's going to go down this column and say, okay, is this equal to quote male quote? And the answer is yeah, it is. So it'll extract out that one. Is it equal to this one? The answer is no. This one is female, which isn't the same as quote male, so I won't pull out that one. This one is, so that we'll pull out this one. This one is, so we'll pull out this one, and so on. Okay, so what we're doing is we're extracting out from the original data set every single row right, that under the gender column, that is equal to male in quotes. And we're gonna, when we have that data, we're gonna store it in this new object called data male. So if I highlight and run this, now I can take a look at the first 6 rows of data male. Okay, and we see that all of them are equal to male here. And of course I could print the entire data set. I don't want to because it's probably fairly long, but if I wanted to, I could just I could print it out and double check to make sure all the values were male. Okay. So in a similar way, if I look at the original data, right, I'm going to create data male version 2, male 2. If I look at the original data, I see that I have this other variable called female. And this is a 0, 1 indicator, where 0 indicates no, not female, and 1 indicates yes, female. But you'll notice that these values are different, right? This isn't a character like we see under gender, right? So I actually need to use a different kind of form here. So in that situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say female is equal to 0. So if I'm using a numeric value, I don't need the quotes, right? It's only in this special case up here where the variable itself is full of characters that I need to give it the exact identifier. But if it's numeric, then I need to leave it as numeric, right? And so in this situation, I'll say female is equal to 0. So I can highlight and run that, take a look at the first 6 rows of data male 2. Right? And they should be the same. Right? It should be the same as this original data male that I created up here. Okay, so just remember that whenever you're creating these subsets, just look at the variable. If it's categorical, not really categorical, because both of these columns are categorical, but if it's characters, if it's a word, make sure that you have a string in quotes that will match exactly the one that you want to subset based on. On the other hand, if it's numeric, then make sure that you use these numeric values here and don't use quotes. Okay. So of course, we can extend the subset function out. So let's say I want a condition on 2 values, right? So let's say for example that I want to extract out everyone that's in sociology and everyone that's in psychology. What we're going to do is I'm going to create data soc psych, and that's equal to subset. Remember, we're going to extract it from data still. And now I need two conditional statements, right? It can be either or. They can either be in sociology or they can be in psychology. So I'm going to go to this variable, and it's department. Okay, so the variable is department, so department is equal to, and then in quotes, soc. And then I'm going to add this pipe here. And pipe means or. Okay, so pipe means or. So department is equal to soc, or department is equal to psych. And what this is saying is go through that variable called department, and if you see soc or psych, then I want you to extract out the row. And if not, then leave it behind. Okay, so we won't get anyone who's from engineering. Okay, so I add this in, I can highlight and run this. If I take a look at the top of this, so just right here, we get a bunch of psych people. If we continue to scroll down further, we would also get individuals who are in sociology, right? So now my department variable is just those individuals that are either in sociology or are in psychology. Okay, so the pipe, it allows us to make more than one conditional statement, right? We can say department is double equal to sociology, or department is double equal to psychology. Okay, sometimes we want to condition across 2 variables. So let's say I wanted to extract out females that are in psychology. So I can have data female psych. This is equal to subset data, and department will equal psychology. And instead of doing or, I'm going to have an ampersand. Okay, ampersand. And I'll say gender is equal to female. Okay, so the ampersand here is different from the pipe. Okay, so the pipe means or, one or the other. Okay, as long as one or the other of these is true, then we'll extract out the row. And this one, the and, means I have to have both. So both have to be true. So I only want to extract out rows where the individual says I'm in part of the psychology department, and also where they identify as female. Okay. So if if I highlight and run this code, this is going to be a long one from the clock. Give the clock its attention. Ooh, this is going to be a really long one. It's 12 o'clock. Okay. Of course, you should be thinking, John, you can just move. And I would say, if you see my house, you would see that I cannot. All right. So again, so this code, what it's trying to do is extract out individuals who are in a psychology department and also who identify as female. Okay, so if I highlight and run this code, now I can take a look at the top of that data set. Okay, and again, I have just individuals who identify as female and also just individuals who are in the psychology department. And of course, we can extend this out to continue on to condition on multiple variables, right? So whether or not you're using the or, the ampersand, you can just add more of them in until you get the subset that you're looking for. Okay. Now I also want to do some based on numeric, so we'll do greater than or less than conditions. So let's say, for example, I'm looking at the data set and I want to extract out individuals who make more than $80,000 a year. So data, I'll just call it data 80K, is equal to subset of data. If salary is greater than 80. Okay, and so if I highlight and run that, and take a look at the top of that data set, right, it's just going to extract out every single individual that makes more than $80,000. Okay, and you can do this with any of the continuous variables, right? And of course, in a similar way, like let's say I wanted to extract out individuals that made more than 80,000 but made less than 100,000, right? So data 80K, I'm going to call this 100K, right? So within that range. So I have this subset, and I have salary is greater than 80, and salary is less than 100. Right? So I have these two conditions. You have to be more than $80,000, but at the same time, you also have to make less than $100,000. So if I highlight and run that, I can take a look at the top of that data set. Okay, and again, these are individuals who fall within that range, right? So there's many ways that we can set up these conditions. They're fairly flexible. And of course, you can incorporate the continuous ones up here with the categorical ones. So for example, if you added an ampersand up here, you could add in these salary conditions, right? So you could extract females who are in psychology who are making more than $80,000 but also making less than $100,000, right? You can just extend these out further and further. Okay, so the subset function is really useful. Right, so for example, if you wanted to analyze just a subset of the data, if you wanted to run some analysis where you're just looking at females in psychology departments or males in sociology, just people who make between $80,000 and $100,000, you could extract the data first and then analyze the data in the same way that you would if you were analyzing the full data set, right? So that's why it's super beneficial for us. Okay. If you liked the video, please like it. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comments below this video, or you can also email me at jonathanleehelm@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at jonathanleehelm. I hope you found the video super useful, and I appreciate any feedback that you can send me. Thanks for watching.